The level of cooperation between the Ukrainian military command and the US and Britain in the early years of the full-scale war was much closer than previously thought. According to a secret military operation involving British Special Forces, the CIA and Ukrainian generals, which aimed to develop a strategy for defeating Russia. This is reported by the Telegraph, analyzing data from a large-scale investigation by the New York Times. The Telegraph noted that reports of the role of Western military planning and intelligence sharing had emerged periodically since the invasion, and it was now revealed that the level of cooperation was much higher than expected. And that is likely to anger the Kremlin, which has consistently claimed that Russia is at war not just with Ukraine, but with the entire West and NATO, the newspaper suggested. It gave details of a military operation that involved the CIA and Britain. On the Ukrainian side, 2 generals were involved, who were transported abroad by armored guards on diplomatic passports. The operations center was established 2 months after the war began at the Kherson Air Base in Wiesbaden, Germany, the headquarters of US Army Europe and Africa. It became the central hub for coordinating the joint efforts of NATO allies to help Ukraine. According to the investigation, the Americans provided a wide range of weapons, intelligence, strategy and planning, while a British general ran the logistics centre from the Kherson base. It is noted that the UK has deployed small groups of officers to Ukraine, which has given British military planners significant leverage. Sources claim that the then British Defence Secretary Ben Wallace demanded the dismissal of Major General Andriy Kovalchuk, former commander of the Operational Command South of the Ukrainian Ground Forces, because he hesitated in his decision to attack Russian troops near Kherson, who were short of food and ammunition on the right bank of the Dnieper. The article says that Wallace asked the US military what they would do in such a situation. US General Christopher Donahue responded that he would fire the commander. After that, the British Defence Minister allegedly began to insist on the dismissal of the Ukrainian general. However, Wallace denied this information to the publication, saying that he never demanded the replacement of any general, and that he did not interfere in the personal decisions of the Ukrainian command. The investigation notes that while British Special Forces were helping Ukraine, the US administration withdrew its troops from Ukraine and closed the embassy. A senior US military officer allegedly said, "The Russians are coming, see you later." However, a small group of CIA employees were allowed to stay, the report notes. Meanwhile, in Wiesbaden, other CIA officers helped plan and support an intelligence-sharing campaign that led to precision strikes against key Russian targets, first in occupied territory and then in Russia. The NYT investigation captures the difficult geopolitical balancing act that both the US and UK have had to navigate, given serious concerns that getting too deeply involved in the conflict could provoke a nuclear response from Moscow. It is also emphasized that if at the beginning of the full-scale war, Western support for Ukraine was primarily limited to providing weapons, then by mid-2024, American and British officers controlled every aspect of each strike for a specific operation in Crimea, from determining the coordinates of the target to calculating the trajectory of the missiles.
Ukraine's Western partners continue to support Kyiv in its war efforts against Russia. In another such effort, Sweden has unveiled its largest military aid package for Ukraine worth nearly $1.6 billion, Swedish Defense Minister Pål Jonson revealed on March 31. The package includes, among other things, support for Ukraine's air defense, artillery, satellite communications, and maritime capacity, Jonson said on X social media platform. The new package brought Stockholm's overall military aid to Ukraine to 80 billion Swedish kronor or $8 billion since the start of full-fledged invasion of February 2022. Expected to be delivered to Kyiv in up to 24 months, the new aid bundle includes $912 million worth of equipment that will be procured from the Swedish defense industry. In addition, the fresh military aid includes a $465 million donation to international multilateral initiatives, the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, and purchases from the Ukrainian defense industry. As part of the package, Ukraine will be provided with material and spare parts from the Swedish armed forces worth around $93 million. This includes M/58 machine guns, ammunition, roughly 100 vehicles of various types for air base maintenance, and other support. The Netherlands has also boosted its support for Ukraine. In the latest such a move, the country allocated €500 million for a drone production project for Ukraine to continue its fight against Russian aggression, the Dutch Ministry of Defense stated on Monday. €500 million is part of a €2 billion accelerated funding package that the Netherlands decided to allocate in 2025. Additionally, Ukraine has received the latest installment of the International Monetary Fund's (IMF) budget support amounting to $400 million, Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal reported on Monday.
The Russian army in Ukraine has sharply increased the number of assault operations after the start of ceasefire talks, which the Kremlin is conducting with the mediation of the United States. During the period from March the 1st to March the 26th, Russian troops carried out 17% more assault attacks than in the whole of February, according to the calculations of the Ukrainian OSINT project Deep State. During March the 25th to 27th, the Russian army carried out an average of more than 200 assaults every day, and this is a record since the beginning of 2025. Deep State notes, the offensive is concentrated on the Kupiansk, Liman, Toretsk, Vremivsk, and Kursk sections of the front, and the most difficult situations, as Deep State writes, has developed near Pokrovsk, a key logistics center of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Donetsk region, through which Ukrainian forces in the region are supplied. Russian troops have also intensified assaults in small groups in the Zaporizhia direction. Vladislav Voloshin, spokesman for the defense forces of the south of Ukraine, said on Friday, the offensive in the region, which the Russian armed forces currently control only 70%, began in early March, and in the middle of the month, according to ZWAR correspondents, the troops managed to break through the Ukrainian armed forces' defenses to a width of 10 kilometers and a depth of 5 kilometers and take control of several villages. The Russians want to get as much of a head start as possible, to advance as far as possible in the Zaporizhia region, if they can, even to reach the administrative borders of the region. This is one of the reasons why the situation in the south of Ukraine, and in particular in the Zaporizhia direction, is beginning to worsen somewhat, Voloshin explained. Meat assaults increase losses in the troops, which, according to British intelligence, reached 900,000 people in March, including 200 to 250,000 killed. Currently, Russian troops are about 25 kilometers from Zaporizhia, but the Ukrainian defense lacks depth to effectively contain a possible offensive, experts from the American Institute for the Study of War wrote earlier. The same, in their opinion, is the case on the Kharkiv front and near key cities in Donbass, which could be under immediate threat if the defense cracks. In negotiations with the United States, Russia insists that all 4 regions of Ukraine, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson, come under its control within administrative borders. Sources familiar with the position of the top leadership of the Russian Federation told the Moscow Times earlier. The Kremlin hopes that Washington may even put pressure on Kiev to completely withdraw troops from the regions occupied by Russia. Alternatively, Russia may try to seize part of another Ukrainian region, for example, Dnipropetrovsk or Sumy, and then offer an exchange for Kherson and Zaporizhia. One of the Moscow Times sources said, Opponents of the compromise in the Kremlin believe that before making a deal, Russia must first achieve military successes, liberate the Kursk region, and gnaw away territories, sources told the Moscow Times.